Hey everybody, welcome back. HSC Podcast 70. You got Big Box Steve on the mic, Big Smooth, and Fresh Wes. Got the whole crew again, and some great topics for you tonight. A little bit of football, but a lot of movies again. I kind of like the summertime when we get, to get throw more movies in when sports are not as prevalent for us. But with that said, it's almost football season and cannot wait. Cannot wait. If you're listening on YouTube or watching on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe and like. Hit the notification bell, get our new episodes. Thanks for listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Anchor. Appreciate all the support. And don't forget to comment. Last week we did, a requested top five. So if you have any top fives, request them and we'll get them out there for you. So today we're talking football, and we got one football topic, two movie topics. Last week's was tough, but this one was pretty tough too. And I'm interested to see, what you guys have on yours in this one. So I think this should be a fun one. So I think we'll go, since we got two movies, I think we'll go movie, football, movie. What do you guys feel about that?
That works.
So in a tribute to Mr. Tom Cruise, let's start there. We're going with the top five Tom Cruise movies.
Yep, with Mission
And
Impossible
Are
20,000
we?
coming out.
Are we?
Mission-
That's we're celebrating because he has another movie coming out, right? And
right.
how old is he? Like he's 70. Like
Yeah, but he's got a lot of movies. I know when I went through this, you know all the movies, but as they keep coming up, as you're looking at the movies, you're like, oh yeah, and that one, oh yeah, and that one, oh yeah, and that one. Like I just
But
kept finding movies.
but his new one is like it's a part one of part two.
Yeah.
It's one of those. So it's like really.
Yeah, and I cheated a little bit on the Tom Cruise topic, so I'll lead off with this one. So let's get into a HSC podcast top five Tom Cruise movies. Uh,
You put
I
them all together.
bunched I bunched Mission Impossible into one, and I gave it the five spot because I do like Mission Impossibles, but there's so many of them. I love the fact that it's really all about him for the most part. He's the main character. It's not one of those movies where he's cast with other people too much, right? There's a lot of different people in the movies, but it's really all about Tom Cruise. And I do love how he does a lot of stunts. And if you ever like look at some of the making of Mission Impossibles, and they're like, "You can't do this stunt," and he's like, "Well, let's get a new stunt director. If you don't want me to do this, we'll just hire someone else that will let me do it." And so I do love that Mission Impossible. It's a good series, and most of them are decent. I don't think any of them are particularly bad. None of them are, in my mind, none of them were great. I love Mission Impossible 1 because it was that first like Mission Impossible, right? Where they started that old thing that we used to watch on TV, the old Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of cool about that. So I bunched them all together. I gave Mission Impossible the number five spot. Wes, you got a five. Oh, go ahead, Derek.
I was just gonna say I just watched Mission Impossible because I was like, oh, well, I'm gonna see what Tom Cruise movies I could find, and I'm like, oh, there's Mission Impossible. I'll watch that one.
The first one?
Yeah.
Yeah. I do like the first one. I really enjoyed the first one. All right, Wes. Number five, Tom Cruise movies.
Freaking Tom Cruise. All right. I like Minority Report at five. It was a surprising movie. I didn't really know much about it when I went and saw it in the theater. I remember seeing it in the theater. And it's just a really creepy concept that's actually kind of coming true in a sense, except I don't think we have precogs yet. That would be even I mean just the precogs itself puts it in the top five. I mean, come on, like who actually I got a pretty good imagination. I wouldn't think of that. Shit, no way, dude. The precog is just like that was just and just the fact that they could see things in the future, like, murders and stuff, and just a lot
But
of
were
good
they always
action.
right?
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
I
I
love
like
the concept. I do love the concept. Holly lobbied for Minority Report. She likes that. It wasn't my favorite movie of his. Like, I mean, I maybe put it maybe in the top 10. I don't know. But I love the concept, and that there is something to be said about a movie where it has a great, plot. Like it's just, I don't know if it was, I could say well written. It was well thought through in the idea.
Wasn't it Spielberg?
it was Spielberg, yeah.
He was a director, right?
Yeah.
Well, and yeah, that means you're going to get a decent directed movie, but there's only so much you can do. So good. All right, like it. Derek, what do you got? 5.
Well, my 5 is the great author John Grisham novel, The Firm.
Yeah, that
Love The Firm.
dude.
Anything
Yeah,
John Grisham, but The Firm was really the first one. I think that or The Client. I can't remember which one was first, but yeah, just
Yeah.
real inner workings of the law firm with the mob. And
yeah. I always enjoyed The Firm. At times it got a little slow, but it was still a good movie. It's well done. The Firm was definitely up there for me. It was in my top 10 for sure. So enjoy The Firm, and it's a little bit older too, which I like the older. Anytime you get those those movies, I think they're done a little bit better in my opinion. So Firm's good. All right. Well, let's get down to number 4 here. Wes, you lead us off at 4.
I got A Few Good Men here.
Yeah.
I just think it was a role that was perfect for him. The snot-nosed freaking, Harvard grad, lawyer going up against basically Captain America, which is Jack Nicholson, and the courtroom scenes were amazing. The writing was great, but he really nailed that role.
Yeah. And it's such a good movie in general. That's the thing with A Few Good Men is for me anyway, and it was definitely one of the last ones that I took off. So just spoilers, not in my top 5, but there's so many good people in the movie, and the movie's so good, almost overshadows a little bit what Cruise does, because there's so many other good actors in it and good parts. But what a great movie.
Yeah, and the way he sets Jack Nicholson up at the end, because he
Right.
knows if he does this, he's taking a huge gamble, and he could just completely, and everything could fall apart. And the way he set him up to piss
Yeah.
him off so much, he's like, "Yeah, I did it." I mean, if anybody can piss anybody off that much, it's Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise.
It's like, and that's what's great about him in movies. It's like it pissed me off too. I'm like, shut up, you little,
He pisses a lot of
your
people
stupid
off.
suit.
Great movie. Good number 4 pick.
well, to be fair with Tom Cruise, he is typecast
Yeah.
as the young, brash, snotty guy who has a big ego that,
For quite a while, he was
Yeah.
typecast that way.
Yeah.
So he fit right in, as Wes said.
right. Even the original Mission Impossible was like, boom,
Yeah.
that's exactly
Right.
what he did,
Right.
But I'm going forward with A Few Good Men also. It's lower on my list because it is such an ensemble cast, but it's such a good ensemble cast and such a
Right.
good movie. I go back to back courtroom movies, but yeah, just so many good actors already in that, so it kind of does overshadow Tom Cruise a little bit.
Yeah, so I agree with that, but also again, you're right. I mean, it's such a great movie. And Derek loves the courtroom drama.
Like
It's a
Judge
lot
Judy.
of it's a lot of court between those two movies.
Yeah.
So I went a little different route here. So I got Far and Away at 4.
Oh, nice.
Ooh.
And I mean, when you talk about being typecast, there is some of the snot-nosed brat type thing, but it's a different type in this one. He's like the young, rugged rustler, and the guy who's going to do anything to get what he wants in that movie. But it's such a good movie, and it's about coming over to a new land, and getting your opportunity, and chasing your opportunity, and you got love story involved, and so I think Far and Away is, for me, it's one of those classics that anybody can watch. I think most people could enjoy this movie, and that's why I keep it up there and gave it the top 5.
Yeah, I had that in my top like 8.
Yeah.
I was like, can I put this in? No, and then yeah.
Yeah, it was so I had like a 4 to 8 that was just really like back and forth. I was like
Yeah.
putting them in, taking them out, and and Far and Away definitely was in that mix, going back
Yeah.
and forth there. All right, so we got number 3, Derek.
And speaking of typecast Tom Cruise as a snobby young pompous kid, I'm going Risky Business as my number 3.
Oh God, I love this Risky Business. Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah, I mean,
shit.
everything about it, and you're like, oh, he thinks he has everything going, and then the Porsche and
I thought you were gonna say All the Right Moves.
It's I was about to say that. It's almost like a lot like All the Right Moves, right?
It is.
Yeah.
I feel like those are so similar.
It's all the same.
All the Right Moves. That was a top 10 for me. I think that's like 10. But I couldn't top 5.
Yeah, I had the same thing with both of those movies. Like they were up there, they were on the list to start, right? But
yeah,
I thought the exact same thing as what Wes said was, and I was about to say the same thing, which was they just seem so similar.
Yeah, but
in
you
that
have
aspect.
the whole iconic sliding on the
right
on the hardwood floor, and
but you have that's a Mandela effect thing though, right? Have you seen that?
no.
Like there's like this thing where you think that he slides in with sunglasses or something, and he really doesn't have them or something like that. There's
yeah,
something with the way he's dressed that everybody believes that's how it happened, but then like it didn't.
Mm.
Dude, this Mandela effect thing, not to get sidetracked, but this thing trips me out because I don't know about you guys, but I always remember the Energizer Bunny having batteries on his back. Do you guys not remember that Energizer Bunny commercial? Like he's beating the drum, his batteries on his back. Yes, right?
Well, I mean,
Think
I
about
just
the
don't like remember
Energizer.
details.
You don't remember that? Yeah, and then but they're like on his legs.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, no, they're on
No,
his back.
there's a few things like that. Yeah, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
But maybe that's a whole nother topic for another podcast.
Well, I'm telling you, the one we discussed was Scary Movie.
Right.
And I know that he said, I see white people.
Right.
Well, but see that they change stuff. It's almost like a George Lucas thing where, they just change things, they re-edit it in a sense. But the weird one is Patton's the weird one. Patton, I swear they showed him getting hit by the car.
Right.
But it's different.
There's so many of them, man, and it's like,
yeah,
that's a whole other
well, I will
topic.
say now I'm looking up the Tom Cruise one. It was the sunglasses, but I don't remember him having sunglasses on either. The sunglasses are more when he's like getting ready to get in the car.
But I mean, for me, again, I remember sliding in, white shirt, sunglasses. Like for me, like that's
he had the
for
white
some
shirt
reason,
and then his underwear.
right? For some reason that's ingrained in my head. I don't know why. But yeah, we'll tackle that topic. So that's number 3. So my number 3 I mean, it's hard not to have this in my top five because we talked about this in our previous podcast, and this is where I got Rain Man. Obviously, if it's a Best Picture movie, the reason I got it a little lower, even though I thought it's one of the better Best Picture movies, is because obviously Dustin Hoffman, makes the movie too.
Mm-hmm.
And Tom Cruise does a great job. He plays a great. It's a partnership role. It's a great movie, but at the same time, if he's the star only by himself, maybe I rate it higher. But I can't rate it higher than 3. But I love the movie. Like Rain Man to me is it's such a great movie. Obviously, won a Best Picture, but um, so I got there at 3.
Well, excuse me. I agree with you with that. Is also one I had wanted to put on mine, but I didn't. When it's a great movie, is Color of Money.
Right. So I took Color Money off about 7, I think. Same thing because of Paul Newman, right?
Right.
I mean, it's hard to see and because Cruise plays such a good role in Color of Money, but I mean,
When
can
he's
you
with
really
Paul Newman, it's
outshadow
just
Paul Newman? So it's that great movie, but we're really I mean I was real focused on Tom Cruise in my picks. And I think this is probably the only real movie that was really had another big time actor, that kind of played an equal or better part than him. Let's see. So 3, Wes, what do you got at 3?
I'm going with Interview with the Vampire, Tom Cruise.
Here's that another exact same story we were just talking about. But go ahead and give the Interview with the Vampire spiel.
Not this. He goes outside. He plays the bad guy.
Right.
And I think he does a really good job. He just nails the role. I mean, it's really creepy, especially when he comes from back and he's has all
I love that.
He does a good job in that movie.
Yeah, so I took Interview Vampire off at 6. So I put Mission Impossible in because it was more Tom Cruise focused. It's really hard because I think Brad Pitt does a great job in Interview with the Vampire as well.
And Kirsten Dunst.
And Kirsten Dunst too. Yeah. So, but what a good movie though. If you're just talking about movies, if I'm not focused as much on Tom Cruise, Interview with a Vampire is one of my movies that I really do love. So I can easily see that in there, and that's just like me putting Rain Man in there. I think it's kind of the same thing. So great movie. All right, getting up there here to number 2. This is me leading off, right? So
I can already guess what Steve's top 2 is.
Well, if you can't have Days of Thunder, you're at top 2. I mean, come on, man. And there's some good acting all around it. There's other people who play good parts. There's plenty of good parts, but it is Tom Cruise focused. But a lot of people do a great job. Robert Duvall and Carrie Elwes and Nicole Kidman, and
Michael Rooker.
Michael Rooker.
Yeah.
And so they all kill in the movie,
Rowdy.
but it is still Cole Trickle racing the car. I know Cole. He always goes outside, and but it's for me, and maybe it is a guy's type movie, but it's just a great movie. It's about race cars, but it's got a little bit of love and friendship and other things in it, and just one of my favorite all time Tom Cruise movies, Days of Thunder. What do you got, Wes?
I told Caitlin that would be number 2 for you.
It's number 2 for me too. It's just so many great lines in that movie. I mean, just where he's like can't explain about the car. He's like, look, I don't know much about cars.
Right.
Just
put me in a car and I can drive.
I mean, he you know, he just got so many great lines in that movie. I mean, just I mean, how he's like from California, and it's just. And then Nicole Kidman, how he's like, in the hospital where he's like, "Isn't this what you're really looking for?"
So
You're
funny.
like, it just overcoming, like getting the accent, getting back in the car, the whole thing. It's just, yes, it is Top Gun in a car, yes, but
Yeah, it is. But it has enough outside of just the car racing to make it a good movie, though.
yeah,
Like there's enough other things happening.
yeah.
All right, Derek, what do you got at two?
Well, it's not Days of Thunder. That was not in my top five. It was in my top 10, not my top five. You guys, this one's outside the box because this one's actually not about Tom Cruise. It's about how great the movie is and how a novel and idea. Because Wes was talking about Minority Report novel idea. Mine, it's The Edge of Tomorrow.
Right. Yeah, and it's such a good uh idea for a movie and the plot and it's well done.
And I don't think many people have seen it because it's more of a sci-fi movie that,
Right.
But for me, that's one of the top for me, Tom Cruise, just because he's like what he has to, because he plays the hotshot guy,
Mhm.
and then he kind of gets put down really quick. He's like, you can't be the hotshot guy here. We don't even know who you are. And then it's like trying to figure it out. And then it's like Groundhog Day, except with
Yeah.
aliens.
Yeah, it's Groundhog Day with aliens. But I mean, it is a really good, and I don't think a lot of people have seen it, to be honest with you. I think you're right. Um, but it is another one of those. I think it's very similar to Minority Report in the sense that it's just a great outside the box thought, movie process and plot and ideas, and I think he did well in that. So I think that's a good. It, that is an outlier top five though. Like I don't think that's going to be in a lot of people's top fives,
And,
but that's good. I
well, I
like
think
it.
we can all guarantee number one is the same on all three of them. So.
Well, I mean, Wes, you're leading off, so you might as well go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it's Top Gun. I mean, it's got to be Top Gun. I mean, come on. It's like
Right.
there's just you want to talk about probably the most perfect role for him is, you know,
Yeah.
it's math.
Yeah.
There's so many great lines in the movie. It's just, I mean, he steals the beginning because it's like, his wingman's not doing well, and he's like, you and Goose are going to Top Gun, and he's just like so pissed off about it. He's like, this is the last person he wants to send Top Gun. He's like, um, it's just great. Here, Kelly McGillis. I mean, just the chemistry between him and her, and just Goose, and you know,
Right.
she's lost that love and feeling. Oh no, she hasn't. Oh, I hate it when she does
I hate
that.
it when she does that.
It's just so many great. That's right, Ice.
Yeah. It's it is such a good role for him that some movies are just written and people fall into them that you couldn't put a better person in it, and that's one of them.
And they could wait another 15 years and do a third one.
Yeah,
And you know
because he'll
what?
still look like he's 30.
I mean, he's gonna look older, but
Dude,
he's gonna nail the part.
this guy's
He did in the second one.
ridiculous. He doesn't age,
Yeah,
And Slider will be in charge.
right?
later.
Yeah, I mean, obviously. So, Derek, sounds like we're all in a line here.
Yep. I mean,
So,
plus it's everyone played their roles perfectly.
right.
Like Tom
Oh, yeah.
Skerritt and
Oh,
Rick Rossovich and Val Kilmer and even like Hollywood and Wolfman and
Right. And the dude that plays Garrett's like what's that guy's name? Um
Rod, no, not Rod Steiger, but
but yeah, so even he plays that role of like, because he's obviously the teacher, but he's like the second in command teacher.
Oh, Michael Ironside.
Yeah, Ironside, that's his name. He plays that role perfectly too. Like you couldn't have put a better person right there where what Ironside plays.
We're communicating.
Well,
Communicating?
I was
Yeah,
giving him
sign language.
giving him the bird.
and then James Tolkien, who is best known for Back to the Future as the principal.
Right.
Oh yeah, it's I mean just perfect. Like he's like,
Right.
come on. Yeah,
I mean, so obviously I got Top Gun at number one as well. If you love Tom Cruise, like you I think you have to have Top Gun at number one. Even the new Top Gun Maverick is like one of the highest rated, like on Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb and everything like that. And it's not even close to as good as Top Gun 1.
Well, it's because it doesn't have enough Val Kilmer.
Right. You need a lot more Val Kilmer in your life. But and that's so here's what I love about Top Gun though. It is the the way Kilmer and Cruise play both of their parts. Uh the way they, they I don't say they gel. I guess they gel, but they're not gelling to the audience, right? They're falling into their parts very well, but they're making it to where the audience is like, oh, they're enemies, they're rivals, but they're playing off each other so well.
And the volleyball scene, man, like it's just
You
it's so
can't
80s. It's complete 80s.
right.
With the Kenny Loggins soundtrack.
Playing with the boys. Oh, I mean, but come on, the Kenny Loggins soundtrack though is killing it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Danger Zone.
Danger Zone, yeah. I mean, and then like he's riding the motorcycle, like he does everything the pilot needs to do. So you gotta love Top Gun, and if that's not Tom Cruise's best movie, then I don't know what is.
The Last Samurai. No, it's Jerry
The
Maguire.
Last Samurai, Jerry
It's
Maguire.
Jerry Maguire. I was like, should I put that? No.
I do enjoy some Jerry Maguire. So let's
It's
talk
good.
let's just talk a little bit about some honorable mentions. So for me, Interview with the Vampire obviously wasn't in my top five, but I could easily put it in my top five. But I do love Jerry Maguire also because it's got what we all love is football, right?
It's the backroom deals of football.
Cuba does a great job.
Yeah.
And there's probably no more iconic line than "Show me the money."
Yes. Yeah. I mean,
so yeah, Jerry Maguire is good. But so yeah, Interview with the Vampire, Jerry Maguire. There's a lot of
For
good
me,
movies.
it was like a small cameo role, but he killed it. And that's Tropic Thunder.
Tropic Thunder, yeah. Dude, so funny. I mean, I can't imagine, and I don't understand, like, with all the cancel culture happening, how Tropic Thunder even exists anymore. Because this movie is off the rails.
It is. And it's so left field for him. Like the first time I saw it, I was like, "Are you kidding me?" I was like, "This is actually hilarious."
Well, it's because you don't. So if you don't really know, it's hard to even know it's him.
Right,
yeah.
because he's got so much makeup and he's got all that stuff on. On that same lines, like The Outsiders, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's so many people in The Outsiders, and it's really about Ponyboy, and Ralph Macchio, but you still got Patrick Swayze, and you got Rob Lowe, and you got Tom Cruise and Emilio Estevez. But still, Tom Cruise is still in there, and that's such a good movie. Like, I challenge you to find a better movie than The Outsiders. Like that, I love that movie.
Yeah.
He has an uncredited part in Young Guns as henchman on the roof.
That's right. So funny. I saw that. I was like, he's not in that movie.
I forgot about that.
He's henchman on the roof.
Like, Emilio and Charlie Sheen, they're probably all, connected in some way.
Right.
Yeah.
Not the Brat Pack, but all of those 80 stars were
it was just funny when I was like, because I've seen Young Guns as many times as you can count, and I'm like, he's not in that, he's not in that, he's not in that, and then I finally like looked it up, and the same thing. It's like he's just playing some random extra. So
I will say here's one, and it's one of his earlier movies, and he does such a good job. He's not the star of it, but he has a great role. It's Taps.
yeah,
Oh yeah, that's good.
yeah, and Taps, I think was a little ahead of its time, and I don't think people appreciate it as much as they could have. I think that'd be a better movie, a newer movie. I think it'd be better, more recent if they had done it more recently.
I don't know. I don't know how he could get better than Timothy Hutton, Sean Penn, and Tom Cruise.
Oh, I mean the storyline. Not
Yeah.
talking about that because I mean,
George
obviously,
C. Scott.
I mean, you look at the actors Tom Cruise has been with over the years. Like, geez, like he's played with everybody. So, tribute to Tom Cruise there. Love the top five. Uh, let's transition a little bit back to football. This is a hard one, and so for our football sports fans out here, we're going to give you some Super Bowl performances. So what we're looking at is the best performances by a player in the Super Bowl. And you got a lot of Super Bowls we're dealing with here and a lot of good performances. And I'll tell you, if I don't know if you guys felt the same way I did, but I thought it was kind of impossible to like break down and pull out some of these performances because there's so many that stick out over the years. So this was a tough category. So HSC Podcast, top five best performances by individual player in the Super Bowl. Well, I led last one, so Wes, why don't you lead us off?
And when we
Number
talk about
five.
individual performances, this is why I picked this one right here, is because basically it's like they do everything on their own in a sense. And I got Larry
Right.
Fitzgerald in Super Bowl 43.
Okay.
7 catches, 127 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, blowing through that Pro Bowl secondary of Pittsburgh on a couple of those touchdowns. It's just yeah, he was just a machine in that game.
He really was. And from a team that didn't have a ton of offense, right?
Well,
So I think that's kind of I think that was kind of the key that Larry Fitzgerald was kind of carrying him on his back.
hmm.
And I feel that with some of the picks that I went through is that's what you kind of look at when you're identifying this. Like some people could put up some great stats, but when you're doing it like as like the only person, I think that makes a huge difference. And so I definitely could see that one. All right, Wes or Derek, what do you got at five?
This one might not be popular, but it's Super Bowl 21, 88% completion percentage. Phil Simms.
Phil
I knew
Simms.
somebody was gonna do it. Freaking
Well,
Phil Simms.
88%.
88% is
Oh,
crazy.
he's playing catch. Here, the guy's open play catch. Oh, jeez. Not Phil Simms. Yeah, I gotta agree with that.
I mean, it's good. It's that's hard to do. Like I don't care who you are, and obviously he's the only person to ever do it in the Super Bowl.
And we're talking, the 80s, right?
Right,
When the
right.
defenses were tougher.
Well, they weren't doing a lot of West Coast offense.
No.
It was a lot of route running, right?
It
It
was,
was
yeah.
like so that's a different style of ball, and it's real hard to have a high completion percentage, which was why Montana was so great back then. Because he was throwing a lot of accurate balls. And you have to be accurate, and I think Sims did that.
Well, especially if, no one nowadays has done it, and the defenses are
Yeah, not even
less.
close, right?
They
Can't even touch him anymore.
I do agree there because they were throwing a lot less to the running backs. even in
Right.
that Super Bowl. There wasn't a lot of passes to the running backs. It was
Yeah.
like Bovaro and throwing to the receivers. And
Yeah.
it's different than the I took that in consideration for the Niners. It's like they're playing catch with everybody. Tom Rathman, let's throw the ball to Tom Rathman.
Yeah. Anybody can catch the ball.
Yeah.
Brett Jones, Tom Rathman, Ricky
Yeah.
Waters, Roger Craig. So I'm kind of on this one. I'm on the same theme as Wes was, which was taking a team, putting them on your back. And this is Terrell Davis, Super Bowl 32.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, dude's got like a migraine during the
Yeah.
game, but he just kills it. I was gonna grab his specific stats because I looked them up before, but he had close to 200 yards, I think.
It was close
He
to
had like
200.
157.
157 and 2 touchdowns, right?
30 carries.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was what you look at, the amount of carries. Didn't even play in the second quarter. Still had 30 carries, but that's the definition, I think, of taking and putting a team on your back and winning the Super Bowl. And for me, like watching that, it was one of those performances where you're just like, geez, this guy's a beast.
Yeah. And they aren't winning that game without him.
Absolutely not.
Elway is not in that point of his career anymore. He basically carried them in that game. I remember watching that game. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I was like, you're doing this to the Packers defense? Like,
oh, it was just ground and pound to a T.
You're being that physical with the Packers. I mean,
right. So that's what I got there at my 5. Let's see, Derek, what do you got at 4?
I've got I'm trying to remember. I think this is 34, Super Bowl 34. Kurt Warner throwing for 414 yards, 0 interceptions.
0 interceptions. Yeah, and that's because at the time it was the Super Bowl record for passing yards. Right. He had no interceptions.
Goes down as one of the greatest Super Bowls of all time, too.
Right, because it came down to the end still.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't like one of those blowout performances. Like he had to be consistent the whole game. And I had that right up there. That's one of mine. So I can definitely agree with that. So my number 4 will probably throw some people for a little bit of a loop, but maybe not you guys. And this is Super Bowl 15. And this is an Oakland Raider. And this is Rod Martin. And here's because nobody's ever done it, right? Nobody's gotten 3 interceptions in a Super Bowl.
No. It is Ron Jaworski,
but I don't care. Like it's 3 interceptions in Super Bowl and a linebacker. To me, like because you guys know I love defense, right? So I got to throw a defensive guy in there. And I don't think there's a couple other good defense performances. Actually, there's plenty of other good ones. But to hold the record from Super Bowl 15 to now, that's a great record. It helps you win the game. And so I got to put him in there. Like if I'm picking a defensive guy, I'm taking the guy who had the most interceptions, and you did it from linebacker.
Yeah. It's like Blair Brown.
Yeah, that's my number 4.
Good. I like it. I was thinking you were going to say Plunkett. I was like, I was thinking about Plunkett for
yeah. No, and Plunkett had a good game, and he was actually MVP, right?
He had 3 really good touchdowns. He should have had 4 touchdowns, and the dude dropped in the end zone. Right. He had it in the end zone, and he dropped
it. Yeah, and so Plunkett wins the MVP, but again, I have an argument for Martin. Just I think that's a great game. All right, Wes, what do you got for?
I got in a losing effort, Tom Brady. Super Bowl 52 throws for 500 yards.
505 yards.
And the thing is, it's not like they got Randy Moss and guys that can stretch. I thought about Kurt Warner here, but it's just like you're throwing to Isaac Bruce and Torrey Hort and Marshall Falk.
Right.
He's got Julian
He's got the
Edelman.
greatest show on
It's
turf.
like
Yeah, but he was bagging
really,
groceries at the beginning of the year.
I know, and Warner was throwing lazy. I mean, those are the best deep touchdown passes probably in Super Bowl history. He's just throwing.
Oh
lazy.
yeah,
And then
he was throwing
is
dots.
Larry Fitzgerald getting his numbers without Kurt Warner throwing him the ball?
I thought, but those were that was a short touch. He caught the ball and he made it happen himself. Yeah, I agree, but yeah, it's just Brady. He had to do every. I mean, their defense was terrible. And
There was.
I never want
It
to
was
hear
really bad.
about the Philly special ever again. Talk about the most overplayed. I mean, we could go out there and have 10 drinks and pull that play in our back. It's just ridiculous. I mean, so Brady had to do all this, and he didn't have a lot of weapons, and he still took 500 yards, took 33 points.
It's
No
the
interception.
it's the 500 yards that really, I mean, that has to stick out, right? So that went very, very late in my taken out of my top five. It was so hard to move it out of the top five, but I did it because they lost.
And they lost to Nick Foles.
Nick Foles.
That again, it's
Who,
Belichick.
if you're gonna say anything, what Nick Foles?
He had a great game, like 350 passing, right?
Yeah, that's why you don't bench your best secondary player.
373 yards, 3 touchdowns.
373, 3 touchdowns.
Where's he now?
Yeah,
exactly. That's what you should. That's a performance,
Right.
Brady's supposed to be the GOAT. I mean,
no, but it's kind of what Steve's saying. We're talking about
individual, right?
Like you don't have help. Like you're out there by yourself, gunslinging, no help. You're just out there, and I'm just thinking it was hard not to put other quarterbacks on it, but he just had zero help.
And your defense was just trash.
Yeah.
So
I agree with that. I like that pick.
He did have Edelman and Gronkowski. It wasn't like he was a bunch of scrubs.
I mean, he had Edelman, but I mean,
no, and he had Gronk really, like because Edelman was.
Name the Eagles receivers for Foles.
Didn't they have Alshon Jeffrey? I thought they had a couple decent receivers.
not that good.
Right. Well, but also that's what I'm saying is like their defense didn't do anything to help them out. So
I mean, bench Malcolm Butler at the beginning of the game.
It's not my
like.
They had Brandon Cooks and Martellus Bennett as receivers also.
Brandon Cooks is overrated.
Yeah.
We'll see how he does this year.
Personally not. But their defense was trash, though. I mean, it didn't help them out. It wasn't trash, like just didn't help them out that game. And it became a shootout. So I get it. It helps his stats, but it's such an amazing stat game. Like it's hard to argue. So I go along with that. It wasn't in my top five, but it was close.
I don't put losses in my top five. Super Bowls are for winners.
Winners only. So let's see. What do we got? We got 3? Yeah, we're at 3, right? All right. So Super Bowl 3 or number 3 for me. I guess I'm leading here. I got Steve Young in Super Bowl 29.
Oh.
And first of all, there's nothing you can say about throwing 6 touchdown passes. Like it's like 3 interceptions for a defender, right? Like but you got Jerry Rice, so that's helpful because he gets 3 of them, but he still threw to 2 other people, 2 touchdowns and a 1 touchdown. So like Ricky Waters and someone else. So he mixed it up a little bit, even though Rice still gained the majority of the catches. But then they also, you're beating up on San Diego, who's kind of a Cinderella, but you win the game by a lot of points. But to come out of the shadow of Joe Montana, sit behind him for 2 Super Bowls, and then come out and throw 6 touchdowns in your own Super Bowl, that's legit. And I'm not a huge Steve Young fan, to be honest with you, but you threw 6 touchdowns in the Super Bowl. So until somebody else does that, that's in my top 5.
I was in Orlando for that Super Bowl when it was in Miami. And I remember my dad was like, let's see. Talk about, I don't even remember what year that was, but
95.
It was like $2,000 for the Super Bowl in the nosebleed section. So we're like, no, never mind.
Yeah, forget that. And that's back in 95.
Yeah.
But $2,000 is a lot of money.
That's a tough one though. Go to the game, pay $2,000, or listen to Al Michaels for 3 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, I might want to just throw down the
it's a little painful.
But it was like we looked at the tickets were like nosebleed with like a pillar there, and
right. Now the caveat to that game though is I don't know how San Diego got to the Super Bowl. Because they
they did? Because the Dolphins choked. They should have beat the freaking Chargers in the divisional.
Stan Humphries.
That's what happened.
Natron so memes.
Stupid. Bobby Humphries? Are you kidding me?
They were so bad. That was but yeah, so that's what I got at 3. Wes, what do you got?
Now I'm distracted. What was I doing? All right. I had to pick one Super Bowl for Jerry Rice, and I picked 23.
Yeah.
215 yards. I mean, and
just
the Cincinnati defense had them locked down, and they couldn't really do anything. And all Montana could do is throw it to Rice.
Right.
And he did have a touchdown, nice touchdown. He kind of got John Taylor his touchdown at the end because everyone's keen on him. It was a great performance. So
they couldn't do much without him, and that's kind of one of those things.
600 yards in the Super Bowl in his career. 600.
It's slightly.
If he would have played in one more Super Bowl, he would have been like 200 yards short of 1,000.
Right. Did he play with the Raiders in the Super Bowl?
Yeah. And what did he have, Derek? He had I
think he had like 60 yards, 7. No, he had like 60 or 70 yards, right?
I try to not.
We tried it, yeah. We gave up.
Well, so I'll circle back to that game later. Let's move forward with number 3. Yeah. See, Derek, what do you got at 3?
I've got Super Bowl 18. Marcus Allen.
Oh God, I knew you guys were gonna pick that. One of you would.
Well, I mean, Terrell Davis had 30 rushes, 156 yards, and he carried the team, right? Marcus Allen had 20 rushes, 191 yards.
He also had like a 73-yard run.
Yeah, so you take that 73-yard run out, he's still over 100 yards on 19 carries.
Right. Oh yeah, there's no question. He definitely won that Super Bowl for him. So I can't argue that at all.
I'm trying to look up Jerry Rice's statistics for that Super Bowl.
I figured so. I took Marcus. So that was definitely my top 10. I took it off because I knew one of you guys or both of you would have it.
I don't know what you're talking about.
This might be coming out at Wes at number 2 here.
Yeah, Rice had 77 yards and a touchdown.
I thought he had like 70 yards or so. All right, Wes, what do you got at 2?
I don't have that at 2. No. This one's going to surprise you. I got Desmond Howard.
Oh,
244 return yards.
And a touchdown.
99-yard touchdown. He had 90 yards punt returns.
But he also did it at crucial times in the game.
Yeah. Because
he put him in good field position on other non-returns for touchdowns. He got the touchdown. It did so much to change the game. And he got the MVP.
Yep.
So that was right there at like 6, 7, and 5 right there. So I agree 100%. I think that was one of the greatest Super Bowl performances, especially from a non-offensive player per se. Not a running back, not a quarterback, not a wide receiver. To make that kind of impact on the game as a special teams player.
And then the Raiders threw money at him and he did nothing.
He was trash. But I agree with Wes. I had a hard time not having that in my top 5. It was real hard to take that off.
Well, come on, he was a Packer, so that's why you didn't put it.
Well, that's true. That's a good one. But that's high though. That's real high. All right, Derek, what do you got it to?
I got Super Bowl 19, Joe Montana against the Dolphins.
Boo.
Wes doesn't
He
like
threw for
this one.
331 yards and 3 touchdowns, and that was in 1984.
Yeah.
And he ran for 59 yards with another touchdown.
No.
A yard more than Roger Craig.
Oh no.
He
But
had a
they're playing
total
the
of
Dolphins
400
defense.
yards and 4
Right.
touchdowns.
And like 60 yards on the ground and a touchdown, another 3 passing. What a game.
You know what we used to call Miami during those years? The Dolphins, because they had no D. The Miami Dolphins.
Dolphins.
So,
I have to agree with Derek on this one at number 2. This is where I have Montana and Super Bowl 19. It's an amazing performance. And Montana's a couple of them. There's another one you could have put right up there that he had, and what was it, like 23 or something like that? It was real close. Where he threw for 5 touchdowns.
that was 24. Where
24.
they beat the Broncos 55.
Broncos, right? They just murdered the
They're
Broncos.
playing catch. That's what they're
Right.
doing. They're playing catch.
And that one,
The golden years of when the Broncos got blown out.
So, I mean, the performance by Montana in that one, he had a good completion percentage. He ran the ball. He threw for touchdowns. At that time, he had broken, I hate to say this, but Terry Bradshaw's record for yards and touchdowns. So it was monumental in the performance as well as breaking Super Bowl records. So I also have Montana there at 2.
Yeah.
Here we go to the big number 1. Derek.
Yeah, mine's anticlimactic. It's Rice. 11 catches, 215 yards. Like we said, he kind of, you would think like the 49ers have all the stuff, but he carried them for that victory.
I know I should have put Rice in my top 5.
But you don't like Jerry Rice.
No, you're the GOAT, bro. Like, I mean, I expect that of you. Of the greatest receiver of all time, I expect that of you.
That was the problem.
But not to diminish what he did, because that's an amazing game. And that was definitely, obviously, could have easily been in my top 5. I took it out on purpose because I knew you guys would have it. Because I wanted to throw in a number 1 here that I watched it, I loved it, and I think to this day it's still iconic. And this is Mr. Doug Williams in Super Bowl 22.
No.
Super Bowl 22, throwing 4 touchdowns in 1 quarter, which will never be done again. 35 points in the second quarter, throws 4 touchdowns. I mean, Ricky Sanders could be considered in this conversation we're having.
Yeah, he had 183 yards receiving.
Well, and then after they did that, the rest of the game, Timmy Smith just runs it out, so he gets 200 yards. And Ricky Sanders had 190 yards, 2 or 3 touchdowns. So but Doug Williams, to come from where he came from, to be that, that iconic black quarterback in the Super Bowl, but to throw 4 touchdowns in 1 quarter, that's legit. And I don't think that'll ever be done again. That's a hard number because you're in the Super Bowl, right? 6 is the record, and he did 4 in 1 quarter. And I watched the game. I was obviously did not want the Broncos to win, and they went up 10-0. I was like, no, and then it just blew up, and I was like, yes, just loved it, and it was
It
amazing.
is
So
I don't know because Wes is AFC all the way, even though
yeah,
Denver's in the same, but I enjoyed that one so much.
yeah, it was so fun to watch. But just like I said, to score like that in a quarter, and it was crazy because it's not like they were all touchdowns. They were all throwing. Doug Clinton's really just throwing. Looked like they're playing like a high school team. So it was great. So that's my number one because it's just iconic to me. I'll always remember it, and I don't think anybody will ever beat that. 4 touchdowns in a quarter.
It's almost as good as the Broncos Super Bowl against the Seahawks, where
Yeah, that was
45-8 or something. What's that? It was horrible.
43-8.
43 days.
Just a
Terrible.
beat down.
All right, Wes. What do you got at 1?
I got Marcus Allen, Super Bowl
Yeah.
18.
I
Because
knew that was coming.
you want to talk about doing things by yourself. That touchdown run, I don't think you'll ever see that again. Where you
Right.
run to the left side of the field and you are cornered. You're not going anywhere. Like almost every running back except Barry Sanders. But the way that he came around and he accelerated, I think it surprised everybody how fast he was. He was like a deer. Like just
Right.
boom, gone.
Just hit
And
the
the
hole.
other touchdown is just like, he had to do a lot of it by himself. You're probably not going to see that from a running back ever again. It was just one of the best performances.
we don't see sweeps anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a whole different style of running.
And just even that type of a running back, you don't see that anymore. The lanky, he had power. He played fullback in college.
But
he
it was
did have
vision.
power.
His vision was like to be able to see to where he's running. That's for me what made Marcus Allen great in the first place. Like he had great running vision. But you're right, that running straight up and down like that, it's that's a lost art.
And what makes it number one also is watching the highlights Super Bowl 18 Black Sunday when John Facienda, which it is his last Super Bowl he does. That's why I stopped watching Super Bowls after 18. I watch all 18 every year and I stop after that. Because John Facienda should got an Oscar for that. How he narrated that.
Isn't that like an Emmy or something else?
It doesn't matter. It's all the same now, especially because they're all on strike. It doesn't matter anymore.
Right. No, I agree with you guys, and I knew you're putting Allen up there, so he was definitely on my list, obviously.
And what did Al Davis do?
I could easily put him up there.
Boo.
Yeah.
Boo.
So, that would be one of my honorable mentions, as we, talk about some of these other great performances.
I thought someone was going to say Timmy Smith.
Obviously Timmy Smith.
I thought Derek was going to I thought for a second Derek would be like Timmy Smith. I'm like, no.
I had Timmy Smith because he broke Marcus Allen's record, even though
I had Timmy Smith and Ricky Sanders on my list from that one game, but I'm like, I can't have 3 Redskins.
No.
So I had to choose one of them, and I chose Doug Williams.
To me, when you said that, when I saw the text, I said, I'm thinking someone who did it more by himself.
Right.
And it was very even hard to put Rice on him because it's like, it's the system, it's Montana, it's,
but it's still Jerry Rice.
It's still Jerry Rice getting open in that game because they had him locked down.
Well, so another one, so we talked a little about this earlier, though. Remember in that Raiders Tampa Super Bowl, Dexter Jackson, right?
I don't remember because I don't think that happened. I think that's
he didn't have,
was
it's
Man
a
effect.
Mandela effect. But Dwight Smith, right, had 2 interceptions and 2
No, Dexter
returns.
Jackson.
Dexter
No.
Jack. Oh,
Also,
Oh,
Smith in that game had 2 interceptions, both returned for touchdowns.
what? Yeah,
Yeah,
I
so
think I
he
stopped
had
watching at that point.
he had
That's
2
when I gave up.
interceptions returned for touchdowns in that game.
Yeah. Boo.
Yet
Such
they
a-
gave
such a
the MVP to Dexter Jackson.
They should have gave it to John Gruden.
or to Barrett Robbins.
Yeah. Bear Robbins, yeah.
So that's an interesting one. The Von Miller in the Denver game. I mean, the 2.5 sacks, the forced fumbles that both led to touchdowns, changes the game, because that was like the ugliest game you ever seen, Carolina and Denver, right? So you needed some defense, and Von Miller came up with it. I think that's a great defensive performance, one of the best you'll see in Super Bowls. So I think Von Miller did great there. And
Yeah.
even though statistically Eli Manning isn't there statistically, to come back in those games to stay with the Patriots, you know, obviously the helmet catch, but just I know as when I was watching him, like, dude, he's sacked. And then all of a sudden, like somehow Eli, the most unathletic dude on earth, scrambles out and throws the ball. So
Yeah.
statistically, there's games where it may not
The eye
hit the
test.
numbers, right? Yeah, they passed the eye test for sure.
Well, for me, it was because I thought he had more yards rushing, but it was Otis Anderson for the Giants.
That
Because
was one.
he only did like 3.8 yards a gain, but he was like it was like for a first down every time, he was
And
just hammering it out.
Thurman Thomas was on there because
Right.
he had 135 yards rushing and 55 yards receiving and a touchdown. So it's like it was hard for me to take him off.
Well, Emmitt Smith, Troy Aikman had big games in their blowout Super Bowl wins.
Yeah.
Larry Brown.
Larry Brown had the 2 picks.
Playing catch.
They may not win that game. They may not win that game if he doesn't get the interceptions, right? Because that was a close game.
How does Neil O'Donnell make it to a Super Bowl?
Right.
Yeah.
There was another one that it doesn't show as much. Oh, the Santonio Holmes. Remember Santonio Holmes making the catch?
Yeah.
He still had like what 120, 130 yards. Yeah. But that catch to win the Super, like that's something to be said about that.
Yeah, it is. I didn't think about
who was the linebacker that 90
Harrison.
Oh, Harrison.
Yeah.
If that doesn't happen, they don't win that game.
Absolutely. Or if Santonio Holmes doesn't catch the tiptoe catch, So
well, maybe if Larry Fitzgerald would have tackled Harrison, he should have been higher on that list.
Yeah, Larry, come on. There was also I was doing different reading on people that were making comments about this, and one guy had a really good comment about the linebacker that tackled in the Rams Titans game. I can't remember the linebackers. Mike just he tackles him at the 1 yard line to win the game. Like, what's bigger than that?
Yeah.
You literally just won the game.
You missed that tackle.
Right. It's over. You lost.
Well, it would have been tied. It would have gone to overtime.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
But still.
I guess you win the game. You don't lose the game. You win the game.
Yeah.
And so that's huge, stuff like that. Those are big plays in that. But I think we had a good top 5 there. This is one of my. I know Wes, you do watch a lot of Super Bowl stuff, and you always have. But this was a good exercise for me to go back and review a lot of the Super Bowl stuff that I knew, didn't know, remembered, things like that. So this was a good top 5. All right, here we go. Back to movies. Back into the movies. And I got to tell you, this one was fun. I actually really enjoyed this topic. And what we're talking about are not just female action stars, but females that played parts in action movies. Maybe they were the star, maybe they were the second lead, whatever. But you don't see a lot of female action stars or even second leads. But it was fun to like kind of go through and I've seen all the movies, but then just to rehash this. So here's the HSC podcast top 5 female action roles. And so Derek, you're leading us off this time.
Well, I mean, I already talked about Tom Cruise, Edge of Tomorrow, so why not his partner in crime, Emily Blunt, as Rita in Edge of Tomorrow? Because she's a total badass in that
Right.
movie.
She is.
And it's like he's learning everything from her.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's something you forget about when you watch that movie.
He's all like like rocked out, and like Tom
Right.
Cruise kind of looks kind of flabby out there, and it's kind of funny to see. And then I think, yeah, a lot of people, if you're listening, you haven't seen this movie, you got to go.
Yeah. And I didn't even have that on my list. Now I feel like, why didn't I have that? That's a good one. That's a real good one. Um, my number 5 is Mad Max Fury Road. Charlize Theron is such a badass in that movie. Obviously, Tom Hardy, you know, playing Mad Max is bad, but dude, she's just awesome in that movie. And the makeup they do, the way she plays the part, she fits in really well. And it's just one of those. It's one of those women that you just don't want to mess with. In that apocalyptic structure, like that's not the person I'm trying to take water from. So yeah, I love that movie, but I also love the part that Charlize Theron played in that one. So I got her at there at 5. What you got at 5, Wes?
I have Linda Hamilton, Sarah Connor, Terminator 2.
Oh, you gotta have it. Gotta
I
have
mean, it's just talk. I mean, like she just talk about like preparing for the apocalypse. I mean, she just plays the role great as someone who kind of builds herself into this. I mean, just kind of an average woman builds herself into kind of just a badass. Learns everything, like not just guns, but prepping and just having to almost be a criminal just to basically survive, and training her son,
it. Right.
and using his skills and just kind of organizing everything.
Yeah, and what a change from Terminator 1 to Terminator 2.
Yeah.
This is so awesome. You gotta love that. That's a great number 5.
Higher on my list.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it's higher on my list too. So, spoiler alert. Um, so I got number 4 here, and this is Wonder Woman. Uh, what's her name? Gal Gadot
Gadot.
or Gail Gadot. Yeah, I was close. I love the way. So it's my favorite. It's one of my favorite superhero movies in general. But the fact that it's a female superhero, and it's a good-looking female, but she also plays a super badass superhero. And I enjoyed the movie, but I also enjoyed the way she played the role. And it's one of those things where it's like it didn't matter to me that it wasn't Superman, it wasn't Spider-Man, it wasn't Batman. Like she played it just as well as any of them, and it was enjoyable to watch. But it was a lot of action, a lot of good stuff in that. So I had to throw that in at number 4. All right, Wes, what do you got for?
I got Natasha Romanoff, Scarlett Johansson for Winter Soldier. And I screwed up. That was supposed to be Terminator 2, is supposed to be number 3. So I screwed. I was looking up her name. I forgot her name. But Scarlett Johansson's number 4. So
Yeah.
I think it's just because she's pretty attractive. I've seen less attractive females than Scarlett Johansson in tights, and maybe that's part of it. But she is a badass in that movie.
And it's a really good movie. Like
Yeah.
there's a lot of things going for that. But yeah, like I think she plays a great role.
Well, for me, it would be for her Iron Man 2,
Right.
is where she's a total goes in and
That's so here's kind of the trouble I had with this category was you have a lot of the same thing with Mission Impossible where I just grouped them together.
You have all the movies you can put in one.
Right. There was a couple that fell into that, and I think that's where Scarlett Jo probably falls into that same category.
Yeah, I have 2 on my list that didn't make my list because of that.
Right. Let's see, Derek, what do you got for?
Dizzy Flores, Dina Meyer from Starship Troopers.
Oh god, dude, that's so awesome. Dude, I didn't even have that on my list, but that's so good, dude. That is such a good.
She is such.
I might put that higher now that I think about
it.
Oh god. Yeah, I'm taking Uma Thurman off. Sorry. Done.
This week, like that movie, she is the badass of that group.
Right.
Yeah, she is.
She's the quarterback.
Oh yeah.
She's on the football team.
Yeah. She tells them to get back into
years ago, before that was like a thing, like she was the quarterback.
I remember watching that. We went to the theater and watched it like 6 times.
Oh, so
and
many
I'm like,
times.
Why doesn't she go to our school? Why can't you come? Why can't you go to our and play on our football team?
But also, like, it's like, just the whole training part, the whole war part, like she's just always throughout the whole movie, like all about, being a badass and the battle. That's a good one. That's a real good one. Knock that one in there on us.
Yeah.
All right, number 3, Wes.
It's actually Terminator 2, Linda Hamilton, but it was flipped. Kill Bill, Uma Thurman.
Right.
So
I mean, you that has to be up there, right? It was up there close on mine.
It's just she just is a badass with a sword.
Yeah.
And the sword
any chick with a sword, dude, is cool.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it was pretty epic. So
yeah, I was real close with Kill Bill. That was a hard one to take off because I love that. I think it's such a cool movie. So you had Kill Bill at 5?
yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
so that was flipped. Okay. All right, Derek, what do you got at 3?
My 3 is Trinity, Carrie-Anne Moss from the Matrix movies.
Oh, jeez. Dang, you got me again. Like, why did I have Trinity in there? That's a good one, too.
Yeah. Let me just see that.
She, she's training Neo.
Mm-hmm.
No, we don't play Derek in this game. This is Derek's game.
That's a tough one, too, because because she's not, like, raw, right? Like, some of these other ones, they're, like, raw. But she's not raw. She's, like, legit, knows her stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good one. Well, my 3 is not so exciting because Wes already said it, of course. This is Linda Hamilton and Terminator. Especially Terminator 2, but she's got more after. She's got the previous, but Terminator 2, she's such a badass. And like the whole part where she's like, I'm just gonna go kill this dude
Yeah.
because this is gonna stop the war.
Yeah.
But the whole part about the survival though, and then like when they open like the gun thing underground and like go down there and you're like, wow.
Yeah. She's prepared.
Yeah, she's prepared. And so I do think that, when you look at those, and even at the beginning of that, when she escapes the mental hospital, like how she does it, like it's so brutal.
Yeah,
And
it
you're
is.
like, that's tough. So I got Linda Hamilton at 3. All right, here we go. Number 2, getting up to the top. Derek, what do you got?
It's Linda Hamilton, Sarah
It's
Connor.
Linda Hamilton, of course.
I mean, we've already talked enough about her.
Right. Yeah. Like how do you, I mean, you don't get a whole lot of better. So I agree. But I will tell you how you do get slightly better than that at number 2 is Sigourney Weaver in the Aliens and Alien and all of them, right? Maybe it's about like being like one of the original old school, just one of those women who just gets it done. And you're fighting aliens. And so, yeah, the bald head, like everything you got going for you, Sigourney Weaver gets it done. And Aliens is also it's one of my favorite series of all time anyway. And it's interesting that you don't need that, male action figure to really make a great movie. And I think Sigourney Weaver defined that. So that's what I got it to. What do you got, Wes? You got to top that.
I got Charlize Theron too from Mad Max. It's just,
It's
it's
good.
just, it's just, yeah, this is a girl that you just don't want to mess with when it comes to like, when you're in a war with water, and just and just just you have nothing but just you know cars and weapons and it just shows you like how mean females can be in a sense. Like it's just yeah, so it was she's a really good actress overall.
Yeah, she is.
She has some serious range.
She stepped into that role very well. I think stepped out of like any type of playing any type of like female role of what a typical you would see in movies. I think she stepped out of that really well and stepped right into that role. So I can't argue that one. I didn't have it that high, but I think it's a great pick. Let's see. Like Derek, did you lead it too? Yeah, you did. You had Sarah Connor.
Yep.
All right. Well, number 1, I'm gonna throw you guys hopefully for a little loop here. And here's where I got Demi Moore as G.I. Jane. Such a bad Viggo Mortensen in this movie is obviously great. But for a woman to go through SEAL training and SEER training, and then the action scenes they have at the end, and then the going through the training, and she just does such a good job in this role of kind of the epitome of what it would look like at that time for a woman to go through actual Navy SEAL training. Like what I don't even want to do. And it kind of makes you I love that role. It's one of my favorite movies. On top of the fact that I think Demi Moore did an awesome job. Literally shaves her head in the movie.
Yeah.
She's got all her hair, and they're like, "So Demi, you're gonna shave your head in this movie." She's like, "I'm gonna need an extra million for that." But yeah, it's a badass movie, and I think it does a great job of showing the range of not only female actors but just female action heroes.
I'm gonna tell you my number one because I got to get going. My son is, I don't know what's going on up there, but it's Ripley.
Oh yeah,
She's
Aliens, of course.
Yeah,
It's hard not to put Sigourney Weaver up there.
yeah. So that's why I got it.
Mm.
And I'll
We
catch you all
already,
later.
all right, see you later. We already kind of covered that. It's hard not to put Sigourney Weaver up there because Aliens is iconic. It's old. I think they improve the movies as they go, but I think Sigourney Weaver was great throughout all of them.
Yeah, that's my number one too.
Yeah, I mean it's hard not. So obviously I had it at 2, but the only reason I didn't put it at 1 is because I think an outlier in the type of movie that G.I. Jane was for me anyway was something that I just wanted to highlight because it's like I don't know if you've seen it. You gotta see it if you haven't.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah,
So it's just
you
one of
gotta
those
watch
movies
it.
I've
Dude,
not seen.
it's so brutal. Like
Yeah.
it's brutal for the guys, but then you like watch a woman go through it, and dude, it's crazy. But when you come to the number 1, and I could easily have Sigourney Weaver up there because I don't think anybody's done it better. I don't. Obviously, it's hard to argue that. Like you're fighting an alien
Yeah.
in
It's a
space.
pretty
Yeah, dude.
ugly, nasty alien, and you actually have a cooler head than most everybody
Well,
else on this ship.
that's what it is,
And
right?
that's
So
what
like
it is. It's all
you
the
got to be
mental
the
game.
leader, right?
It's the
You got to be the
mental game.
leader.
I mean,
You're
is
taking
she?
control.
Yeah. It's just she got gun. Is she out there doing flips? No. It's the mental game. It's
Right.
the psychological warfare that you have to go through to fight an alien.
Right. Well, and it's like she's not flipping out, right?
No.
And
Everyone else is freaking out.
she's in control,
I mean, even the android, the machine's freaking out, and she isn't.
right? Yeah, it's hard not to. I mean, obviously, I think that's my number 2, but I don't think you get much better than. And it was a good progression too, from Alien to Aliens to Alien 3.
Yeah.
Like that was a great progression. I thought all of them were great. So I think she did a good job there. There was some other, honorable mentions in here though. When you look at like Underworld,
Yeah, I thought it was a good one.
Tomb Raider, um, there's a couple other ones I can't remember
I had
right off
one.
the top
I
of my
always
head.
think about Wonder Woman and Captain Marvel. You know.
Yeah, so Wonder Woman for me was good because it was, all about Wonder Woman, right? There wasn't a lot of it wasn't playing a second lead or anything like that.
Yeah.
But when you look at is it Malia that Jovovich, whatever her name is she the one in Underworld?
Yeah, Mia Djokovic. Yeah.
Djokovic. Yeah, that's the one I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
So
She did all her own stunts.
Right,
Like,
right.
that was one I was like, nah, I probably should.
I'm kind of disappointed I didn't put her up there, but it was so hard with the other, really solid ones. And then even Hunger Games.
Yeah. She was good.
I don't particularly enjoy the movies that much, but I thought, she did a great job in that role.
Yeah.
So there was a few other ones that definitely Arnold mentioned, and there's a lot of good ones out there. Kill Bill was another one that was close, right, for me.
Yeah.
Couldn't put that in the top 5, but I could see how easily it could be up there.
But Linda Hamilton, honestly, I
Yeah.
kind of scratched my head. I'm like, I should have put her at number 2 because remember watching that? We watched that as kids.
Yeah, she could
And
be
you were
number
just
1.
like the asylum scene, you're just like, oh damn.
It could easily be number 1 because
Yeah.
she's so brutal too.
Yeah.
Throughout the whole movie, like she's just like
She is
taking
a
control.
well-rounded badass. She's
Right,
like,
right.
I mean, this is before even people were talking about preppy. I mean,
Right.
she actually could teach a class on prepping in that movie. I mean, just everything. Like
Yeah.
how she treats her son. Can you imagine being her? She's our mom.
Just
Like,
so
really?
brutal. Just so
Yeah.
brutal.
It's like it's all about the end of the world. It's like, Mom, can I
She,
just be a teenager?
no,
Can I go skateboarding? No.
she might as well be a Terminator
Yeah.
in that, and it's so good. And so yeah, I agree. Like that was a good one. But that was a tough category, to be honest with you. There was so many good
Yeah.
different roles that you see, and then Derek threw a couple in there that I didn't even think about.
Yeah. A Trinity
Especially with
one.
the Trinity was great in the Matrix. Yeah, that was a good one. And then I mean Starship Troopers. The problem is like not a lot of people have seen that.
Yeah.
So it's hard for them to get that reference until you've and it's a cult classic movie.
Yeah. And it's
So
really kind of like
because it kind of
dumb,
bombed,
isn't it?
it kind of bombed when it came out.
Yeah.
But the more you watch it, the more you enjoy it. And Neil Patrick Harris in that movie, dude, is
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
And so and it's yeah, it grows on you, and then her part grows on you even more because of the kind of the preppy girl,
Yeah.
and then
The
the
dumb, and he
guy
was
in
just so.
between
You know,
them.
remember we used to watch the movie. We were like, this guy is
Yeah.
such an idiot. Why does he
Right,
want her to? And
right,
this
right.
girl's like sweating you, and you're after the preppy girl. Like, come on, dude. She's your
So funny.
quarterback. Give her some love. Be your tight end.
Oh, it's great. So good. But oh man, that was a good three topics there. So let's wrap it up here for those of you listening. If you have any topics that you want us to hear or you want us to cover, please throw that out. Closer and closer we get to football season, the more exciting it gets.
Hard knocks.
Oh,
Hard knocks, dude.
Hard Knocks coming soon. Love the hard. Oh, I love Hard Knocks.
More
It's so good.
material. More material for these teams for Aaron
Right.
Rodgers, man. Just keep it coming.
Are they doing the Jets for Hard Knocks?
That's what I heard. I heard today.
Interesting. God, that'd be awesome.
Oh yeah.
That'd be awesome if they do the Jets. Wow. I thought they'd do somebody like but they just did the
They
Lions
just
recently, so
did the
they can't do
Lions.
the Lions again, right?
So the new hot team is the Jets.
The
Gotta be the
Jets,
Jets. That's a
right?
no-brainer.
I mean, you could do Miami.
Yeah, he could. But it's Aaron
Um,
Rodgers. Come on. Yeah.
yeah, in the NFC, like I don't think there's anybody I'd really want to see.
No.
I guess you got to do the Jets. They're young, a lot of young players, a lot of new players they're going to be cycling through
Yeah.
that don't make the team.
You got Zach Wilson, right?
Yeah,
Zach
you see now
Wilson
you
and
got that
Aaron.
that quarterback controversy happening.
No, but just the way they talk about Zach Wilson, like that's
Oh
gonna
yeah.
be interesting.
Well, that's a must see TV right there,
It
dude.
is.
It might as well be a reality TV show
Yeah.
because Zach Wilson knows he's not getting the starting spot, so he's going to do everything he can to sabotage Rodgers.
Oh, dude,
He's going to, dude.
oh yeah. I would be buying if I was Zach Wilson, I'd be buying him tickets to the clubs. Like, hey man, why don't
Right.
you VIP? Why don't you go out? Why don't you go out here? Go back on Broadway. That's a good look for you.
It's going to be a rough year for Zach Wilson.
Oh,
And I love it too because I don't like him at all. He's just got that frat boy attitude, look, everything, dude.
yeah.
He's got it all.
He's
got it all.
kind of like Johnny from Karate Kid in a
Right.
sense, a little bit, but Johnny was cooler.
He is the Karate Kid.
But kind of.
All right, buddy. Well, let's wrap it up here. We'll see you guys next week. Thanks for watching. Any comments, please leave them in there. If you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Anchor, have a new survey pull out for you. Please take that. And if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe and like, and we'll see you guys next time.